we doing, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking to Mod. This week I have fellow magician and fellow Magic Circle member, David Penn. I'm looking forward to this episode because it's not often I speak to another magician, so let's get on with it. Enjoy. This is Talking to Mod. Good evening, David. How are you, mate?
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you for joining me this evening, mate.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, I'm a big fan of what you do, so
That means a lot, mate. It means a lot. I actually went back to my.
Oh, I lost you for a second, lost the audio for a second.
Oh, we all good?
Yeah, I'm good now.
Brilliant, brilliant. It's this is the first time I've had a magician on here actually, and I'm glad it's you because a lot of your magic actually inspired me, to be honest. And I'm not just saying it because you're on here, but when I was back at my mum's house, I've got quite a few of your DVDs, and I couldn't, I mean, you know yourself, we've got hundreds, thousands of props,
Yeah.
and then you look through the drawer and you go, Christ, I forgot I had that. And next thing you know, you're discovering new and wonderful tricks. So first of all, thanks for inspiring me.
Oh, thank you. That means, do you know, I'm not just saying this because you're here, but you're inspiring me. You know, the stuff you're doing, you're getting yourself out there, and I saw you doing that massive show in that stadium, and all at the end of the day, as magicians, I think we all just wanted to be magicians for a living and find a way to kind of hack the system and somehow get paid for what we love, right? And then to see people like literally following their dreams is genuinely inspiring.
That means a lot. That really does, coming from a very well-respected magician like yourself. So first of all, thank you very much. That means a lot to me. But what I want to know is what got you into magic in the first place?
Oh, I've got the same story every magician has. My granddad showed me some magic. It's honestly true. It was a different time, sort of back in the sort of late 70s, where he used to smoke inside. So he always had a cigarette on the go, and he had his lighter. And he used to like have his lighter, light the flame, and then put it inside his hand. And to a kid, this was quite magical. And he used to do the odd trick, not proper tricks. He did card tricks and tried to do bad sleight of hand, make a coin disappear. But I always remember him making a toy soldier disappear, very similar to the ones in Toy Story, the green soldiers. He made it disappear. And when I got home, it was on the kitchen table. And my parents kept the magic going that it had somehow teleported. And at that sort of young, impressionable age, I really did believe it, like it was real magic. But then I got a magic set. I think it was like a Christmas. I was around like 8 years old, and I got a magic set. I practiced one of the tricks, and I showed my granddad, and he kind of like went, "Well, how's that work? You got to tell me." And I was like, no, it says in the instructions, because there were no DVDs in those days, it was all booklets. It said in the booklet that you can't reveal the secret. I can't tell you. And he was like, well, you can tell me. And I was like, no, I can't. And all of a sudden, like my shoulders went back. I felt a bit like empowered because I'd done some magic for my granddad that had fooled me all these times. I went back to my bedroom, practiced another trick, came back and fooled him again. And this just went on and on and on. And eventually I went to school, started showing people magic at school. And instead of sort of concentrating on my studies, I was getting people coming up to me going, what tricks have you got today? And I just became known as the guy that did magic at school. And that almost in my teenage years, to the detriment of my studies, became my focus in life, which was to learn magic for the next day at school or learn something good that I could show people in the youth club at school and just keep doing the magic, really. And then, similar story to everybody else, just carried on going.
100%. I mean, I can relate to the school thing as well. I mean, I used to take a deck of cards with me all the time, and I remember this one teacher in particular, Miss Patel, her name was, right? And I remember she took my cards off me and said, "You're never going to get anywhere with a deck of cards." And for me, that honestly, for me, that has just been the motivation. Like every
Yeah.
time I do something, I often go back to that moment because I think if I didn't get that, that's probably the best thing she's ever done for me, that teacher,
Yes.
because it
Yeah.
inspired me to want to go, right, if you think nothing's going to happen, I'm going to make sure something happens. And it's little things like that along our life, especially in this magic industry. I mean, how lovely is it to share something that it almost makes the person we're performing magic to feel like a kid again. You know, they could
Yeah.
be any age, but it's like that first time you opened up a Christmas present and you feel that excitement. And I mean, what a wonderful thing. I mean, I've seen many of your tricks that you put the reactions online. I mean, the reactions are brilliant. And for us, that's like our drug, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a magician, when we see them reactions.
I think a lot of people say to magicians, you must get it all the time. And sometimes people ask you, it never ceases to amaze me, people ask you quite a question quite seriously. And they say, is magic real? And we obviously know, there's sleight of hand, misdirection, whatever we're using, hypnosis, psychological techniques to accomplish our effects. But I always say, no, genuinely, real magic is there. And the real magic for me is when you kind of see that moment in people's eyes. And Tommy Wonder, who's probably my favorite magician of all time, I had a lesson with him once. And one of the best things he said in the lesson was, when the magic happens, the spectator is going to experience the magic and you'll see it in their eyes. You'll see the moment that they go and they're amazed. And he said it's very important, and I always remember this, for you to be a great magician, the moment they're experiencing that, you look them straight in the eyes and you experience it with them at the same time, and you mirror their reaction. And if you watch old videos of Tommy Wonder, you can see him do it. And that for me is still one of the best bits of advice, especially as a close-up magician, is like when people are reacting to the magic, sharing that moment with them, kind of look a little bit amazed as well. Like you're kind of saying, wasn't that amazing? Yeah. At the same time, they're saying that with their eyes. And it's a great thing to be able to do, that gift of wonder, to give people.
Oh, it certainly is. And the best thing about being a magician is we've always got something on the go as well, haven't we? I mean, I've seen you do many things with, I mean, the technology these days, phones, which is brilliant because everyone's on their phones these days. I mean,
Yeah.
no one leaves the house. People are so addicted to their phones that they look down on it all the time.
Always got
Uh,
my phone.
and the tricks to do stuff with, I mean, I love card magic because I think it's like everyone's seen a deck of cards, but I mean, everyone's seen a mobile phone. People think, how can that be possible? I mean, it's taking it to the next step in magic now, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I love performing with magic with mobile phones. But if you think about it, it is the next step, but is it for magicians? Is it? Because ever since the turn of the century, magicians have always utilized borrowed objects from their spectators to enhance their routines. Because if you're doing a magic prop, if you're using a magic prop and you're doing a magic routine with a glittery box with a dragon on it, it means nothing to anybody. But if you do something with a borrowed ring or a borrowed watch or something like that, obviously people are going to become more engaged. And engagement is the goal when you're an entertainer of any sort, to keep your audience fully engaged, be it with your songwriting or your performance, your jokes, or with your magic. So you want to engage people. And I don't think it is that groundbreaking, even though it's something I've done, to kind of say, right, the most treasured possession that people seem to have these days is their phone. So I made the decision about 5 years ago with my close-up magic to become the tech magician and just focus exclusively with mobile phones. So what I say when I'm out doing close-up magic now as the tech magician is every single trick uses a mobile phone. It might be mine, it might be the spectators, it might be every single person in the audience, and we have a shared experience. But magicians have always borrowed things. It's just that I've taken it to the extreme and gone, this is the only thing that I'm going to do, is magic with mobile phones.
100%, 100%. I mean, I just think it's so wonderful, like how tricks are just, some of the tricks that are coming out now. I mean, even yourself, and we will get on to Blackpool in a minute, but I mean, the way magic is just evolving into all sorts. I mean, I truly believe one day there's going to be a trick we can go onto a website and it tell us how to disappear a car or something. I truly believe that's the way it's
Yeah.
going to go. And I'm that's not me saying it as a joke. I generally do think that one day the way it's all going, there will be some, because I mean, probably similar to yourself. I mean, we think we know a lot about magic, but then there's going to be someone else who probably knows one more thing or two more things more than us. And that's what I love about the circle with magic, is you can always learn from
Yes.
other magicians, and there isn't really anything else like that, to be fair. And that's why the best thing I did, I mean, Wayne Fox, a fantastic magician, a good friend of both of ours,
Yeah.
he recommended I went into the magic circle, and I think I was always very like, I'm not sure about this, because I'm a bit like nervous of rejection, and I'm think as a magician we always think, you know, what's the worst thing to perform in front of? It's other magicians, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's
Well, I actually, you know, Wayne, going back to Wayne Fox, you know, he inspires me. Like, I see Wayne Fox do things, and his level of sleight of hand is unbelievable. And I can appreciate people that want to join the magic circle. They'll actually be intimidated with the likes of Wayne Fox being in that bar and top magicians. And I was when I first joined the magic circle, you know, in the early 90s. But being an examiner now, I can honestly say we've got this criteria where you work to this criteria and people get judged. And, you know, you were judged as excellent and you were just a very easy pass, obviously. But the thing is, it comes down to something quite simple. You get all these guidelines and it says, look for this, level of sleight of hand, how entertaining they are, that kind of thing. And we get this laminated sheet and you have to consider all both sides. But what it boils down to is one question. And if anybody's thinking about doing an exam for the Magic Circle, for me as an examiner, it boils down to one question. What do their friends say about the person that's been examined? Do their friends say they're a magician, or do their friends say, yeah, they fancy themselves as a bit of a magician? And if it's the first one, then they're at the level that they can join the magic circle. But if their friends go, yeah, he just fancies himself as a bit of a magician, then they're not going to pass. And actually, you've got this massive criteria, but that's sometimes when somebody's borderline and doesn't have an easy pass, like yourself. That's always what I think of. What do their friends say about them?
I've never thought that, but I suppose it's true, isn't it? I mean, how many times do you hear you're in a bar or somewhere and he goes, "Oh, I know a couple of tricks I do at a party," or stuff like
Yeah,
that? And I never really thought of it like that. I mean, you must have had this. I had a situation on Saturday. I was in Liverpool and I did a few tricks. And as I went to go to the next table, the gentleman said, "Yeah, let me show you one." And he actually pulled out a deck of cards out of his pocket, and I was
amazing.
like, oh, it's not bad, but like with everything, there's always a cheaper option. So if they wanted you, they would have booked you. Do you know what I mean? Like you always have a laugh with it. But I mean, how many times? I mean, you must have had it numerous times. You know, when people think, right, you've shown me one, now let me show you one.
Well,
Do you know?
you know the three piles card trick.
Yes.
This is one that over my career as a magician, we're going back. You know, I turned pro in 1992, but we're going back like I must have been showed that somebody going, I'll show you one and take the cards off me. And they do the 21 card trick. And I always go, that's brilliant. And I always act like I've never seen it before. And I always go, it's hard to explain, but if a magician's watching this, you think about what I'm saying, you can easily backtrack it. But you kind of act like, what is it you did again? You put them down, then you said this, and then you gather them up, and they're watching you doing everything. You're going, yeah, that's right. And then you deal the piles down for the third time, and then you say, because what they've done, they've counted down to a certain card at the end, and they've turned it over. But what I do is, after I've done the 3 piles 3 times, I say, and then you shuffle them, right? And they go, no, 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 you don't shuffle them. But you already know what you need to know when you've dealt the 3 piles down. And I always say, and then you shuffle them, right? And then they go, no, 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 you can't shuffle them. You're doing it wrong. And I always go, but then you just turn over the card and it's theirs. And then when you find their card, even though you shuffle them, they end up going, well, how did you do that? But you're doing it in a really nice way, saying, oh, that was really good. I think, let me see if I can follow it. What did you do? Did you do that? Did you do that? At the end of it, you kind of go, and it's that card, right? And they go, well, how did he do that? And so you actually use it as a way to go onto something a little bit more fun.
100%. I'd like to know what were you were doing in this situation. There's a group of people and you approach them. You want to see some magic, to do it. And there's one person in the group who just says, no, 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 it's not for me. And just turns their back. And then you do a trick. And then next thing you know, by the reactions of everyone else, they then turn in and they're then engaged and they think, oh no, no, I want to see one. But I mean, like on Saturday, yeah, it was Liverpool again. There was this guy, but he was so rude
Yeah.
about it. I mean, with the whole act I've got, I sort of go along with it, and I'm very good with a lot of my comebacks and that. And he says, "Oh no, I don't like magicians." Oh, and I put, to be honest, neither do I. But it pays well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just completely change it around. But some people can be really a bit brutal about it, can't they?
Yeah. I think we have to remember, and you can't have an ego when you're doing close-up magic, and you've got to
No.
remember that nobody actually owes you an audience. Nobody owes you an audience. That they have the right not to watch, and I absolutely really respect that. The fact that you got that guy to turn around and watch you in the end, well, you won. That's it. That's the end of it. Because the thing people probably don't realise that aren't close-up magicians, it's very unlike any other style of performance. Like normally with entertainment, people actually come to see you. They come to see you do a show, or they at least know who's going to be on the support bill or whatever, and they will go and watch that show. And they're invested in watching entertainment that night. Quite often, as a close-up magician, you go up and they don't even expect there to be entertainment at their tables or in a drinks reception. And you might only be there for 10, 12 minutes. And every single time you start that show, you are starting from zero with that audience, and you have to get them to a 10, where at the end of it they're going, actually, that was really good, I didn't expect that to be good. But that's part of the game.
Mm.
And for me, I enjoy that game. I enjoy the challenge. And if that guy turned around and then he suddenly looked back, I'd be making a point of that. I'd be going, oh, look, he's watching now. Yeah, we've come a lot. I have a line where I say, sometimes I swear, but I'll not swear tonight. But sometimes I say, we've come a long way since I walked up and you thought this was going to be average. Because normally it can start with like a bit of a roll of the eyes. But, I've got 30 years preparing for this moment where this guy's rolling his eyes. I've got 30 years training for that moment. They don't realize. And I pity them sometimes, because actually I might be cruising at a close-up gig. But when I meet that person that's a little bit more objective and he goes, all right, go on, show us what you've got, I will literally hit fifth gear and destroy them. And I'll make it my mission to have everybody on their feet and, them shaking my hand at the end of it. But that's the game. That is the game we're in. And you can't knock it, because it's what we chose.
100%. And similar to you, I absolutely love the challenge. The best one is when you pull out a deck of cards and you say, just pick any card, and you get someone say, oh, I've seen this one before. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do, to be honest. I'm just making it up on the spot. Like, if you know, please tell me. Like, I haven't got a clue, but that is the best one. And I've seen this one before. Like, that, how many times do we hear that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I, I, but
incredible.
I'm always, I have a different sort of character when I'm performing, and I'll sort of go into a little bit of like slightly patronizing, especially if the rest of the audience are with me. I'll go, believe it or not, all card tricks start this way. You know,
It's so
nothing,
true
and
though.
I'll turn it on him. I'll go, nothing gets past this guy. He's a genius. You know, and I'll really like, just you just got to learn how to like go with it and not let anything bother you. Because half the time, they are people when they heckle, they are looking for a reaction. And if you give them a reaction that it's upset you or thrown you, sometimes that's what they want. Sometimes genuinely people heckle just to be part of it. And I don't mind that. But then it just becomes banter and more fun and a performance that feels genuinely unique. And that's better at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%. I did the Albion rooms in Margate a couple of weeks ago, and when I went out there, because I think that was my third time playing there, I said, "Oh, is anyone was anyone at my first show?" And this woman says, "Yes, I was." And I looked down, and it was my mum. I said, "Well, of course you were. You drove me here." Do you know what I mean? But I mean, and then I said, "Right, was anyone at the second one?" Mum, please don't say anything. And a few people did, but there was this one guy, and he had a few drinks, and he made it. He tried to get really involved with the show. Now I love it. I love it, similar to yourself, when people give you the heckle, as long as they're being, end of the day, it's an entertainment.
Yeah.
We're up there. We're a target. If people want to say stuff, as long as it's not too brutal, I'm all up for it. And the bet I always like the one where you say, "What's your name, mate?" And he said, "Steve, I don't know, Steve Jones or something." I went, "Steve Jones?" No, when I read the poster, I didn't see your name. I just saw mine on it, and I mean that's it. How can he come back from that? But let's talk about Blackpool. Now, you had a very, very good Blackpool, didn't you? And am I right in saying I saw that the trick you brought out? A lot of people have said it was actually the trick of the convention.
Yeah, I think there was lots, people have got different tastes in magic, and there was lots of tricks of the convention, as we say.
That's what
But I had a lot of top magicians that, I look up to come and buy my mystery solved nested boxes, which is a trick for magicians where you show a box empty, it goes inside another box, inside another wooden box, and at the end, later, a card that was signed during the course of your routine ends up kind of teleporting into that innermost box under impossible conditions. And a lot's progressed the way I've actually developed this kind of classic plot in magic to get to that point. And I had like people like Andy Nyman coming up, genuinely impressed with what I'd created. Hans Klock bought it, one of the world's top illusionists. People like Joel from Blue Peter present. We know him as a magician, but Hannah de Guzman came and picked up magic. Second in AGT, picking up magic from you. It's quite incredible, really. But yeah, that was the one that everybody. I did sell more of my Covenant deck, which is a way to make somebody think of a card and then vanish from the deck. I sold more of those, but the mystery solved Nestor boxes I only had 100 of, and they sold out. Originally, I only had just over 40, but the company, the manufacturer TCC, they brought me some more over in another suitcase, and so I was able to sell more. But yeah, sold out by 2 o'clock on the Saturday, which was incredible.
and then straight to the bar.
Well, I had other releases. I still had other things to sell, but I don't. The truth of it is, I don't really drink. I'm not really a drinker. I don't think I'd fit in your world very well. But
I don't,
it's
I'm teetotal these days for the last
yeah,
2 years, but I used to. Yeah,
yeah. No, I don't. I don't drink. I drink water all day and trying to preserve my skin and that kind of thing, and just feel healthier.
good.
And it's fitness is something I've always tried to like focus on, because at the end of the day, your body is your vessel that you go through life with. You can't be a great magician unless that vessel is working correctly, and it's important to maintain it the best you possibly can. So I think
100%.
I think Sean Connery was once asked in an interview, what's the best advice you've ever had? And I think the guy expected advertising advice, and Sean Connery said, drink 3 litres of water a day and build up your body. And that,
100%.
you know, that was Sean Connery, you know, and he said that in like the early 80s or something. And I always remember that. It's like, that's the best bit of advice you can offer pretty much any entertainer, is look after yourself.
Oh,
Because you're the
100%.
product. You're the product. You've got to entertain. You've got to maintain that vessel that allows you to do that, mind and body.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Going back to some releases you did. Now, please forgive me. With when it comes to some names with tricks, I do often forget the names. You done a release with Wayne Fox. Was it called 1 in 52?
So
Am I
that was
right?
the fit right. That was the 52 to 1
52
deck. So
to 1.
saying I did it with Wayne Fox, what I don't want to do is take away from Wayne Fox's genius with this, because he created a trick called 52 to 1, and it meant unbelievably that you could cut to a spectator's thought of cards. So they would look at the whole deck, they would think of one card, and you would just cut to their card they were thinking of, and you could repeat it and get them to cut to their own card. Now that was entirely Wayne Fox's effect. Even before I got involved, people like Dynamo were doing this as part of their #1 set. Dynamo, you know, said quite openly that it was one of his favorite tricks to perform, and that was Wayne's original 52 to 1. And then my company, World Magic Shop, bought the rights from Wayne after he'd sold it at conventions like Blackpool. And when we bought the rights, I was always looking for that extra 5% or 2% that made it a little bit better. So we created a completely different version, which was the 52 to 1 deck. And that was a completely special deck for magicians that allowed you to very fairly show the cards all different. The spectator then looks at a card and you can cut to it. But there were some subtleties that for magicians took it to the next level. But it was still based on that ingenious effect invented by Wayne Fox. And as a result, the 52 to 1 deck, it's one of the best selling tricks in magic now. Top magicians all over the world have performed it. Dynamo on television, people like Dan White, Chris Angel performs it. You know, Chris Angel's got an amazing bar backstage at his show in Vegas. And if you're in Vegas and you want to see the best magic show, like, go and see Chris Angel's show, because it's unbelievable. But occasionally he has celebrities backstage in his bar area, just a bit of hospitality, you know, for the VIPs. And he'll perform like one of my tricks, 52 to 1 deck or something like that. And it's so humbling that, you know, one of the biggest magic stars in the world, if not the biggest, doing the biggest show on the planet, is entertaining VIPs with the 52 to 1 deck. It's unbelievable.
I have a good little story with that deck. I often when I meet, well, the genius that is Paul Weller, I always perform a trick, and I actually performed that trick in his studio, and he was just completely like, "How? Do you know what I mean?" But and I mean, it's amazing to, as we said at the beginning, to perform tricks to make people imagine that they're children again. But for me to perform tricks to a hero is nothing else could have done that. No other
You know,
career move, you know.
that it's funny how, you know, I don't really cross over into the music world, but what I will say is, you do something to me. I'm actually getting emotional because I can't tell the story, but that song, "You Do Something to Me," means so much to me. So it's actually a very emotional song for me. It's triggering me now just thinking about it. But
Bless you.
you know, people's music affects people in so many different ways, and yeah, that's got to be one of the greatest songs of all time. It's incredible.
Oh, it's a work of art, an absolute work of art. Um, I can honestly talk to you for hours about magic. Are you all right for a little bit longer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Another
Brilliant. I don't.
45 minutes. A friend of mine, Bob Pound, is watching right now. I just saw his name come up. Now, you were talking genius. Bob Pound is watching. This guy is a genius. He's one of Dynamo's consultants, actually. But as well as being an amazing performer himself, he is like what that guy doesn't know. If you've got a TV show and you need somebody in your corner as a consultant, Bob Pound's the guy you want. I just saw him come up on the feed. He is an amazing magician.
Oh, that's good to know. I'll keep tabs on him now.
Yes. You need to
I'll,
interview him. I bet he can tell you some stories.
well, that's the thing. Like I I haven't had a magician on it before, and that, I really did want to because magic's something that I could talk to. I mean, when you're with another magician, you can just talk about so much. You can, trying to speak to my missus about magic, she just looks at you like I showed one of the best routines that I absolutely adore is Lance Burton, isn't it, with the doves?
Yes.
And for me, that's one of my go-to tricks. When not for me to perform. Whenever I want to watch a trick and feel like a kid again, I'll be watching that and I'll go, "This is like it's just I love it. I absolutely love it." Because I think in terms of why that trick means a lot for me is when I was a youngster, I saw I think it was 50 greatest magic tricks like when I was about
Yeah.
10 or 11, and that was in there. It might have been in the top 10 or something, and it's the way he takes off his silk scarf and then just throws it, and I'm like, that's, I mean, of course, the more you do magic you then know how, but I mean, I still just love watching that routine because I just think it's just
Uh,
beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Lance Burton is somebody I greatly admire. I lectured at Magic Live and got to share a dressing room with him for hours. And because we were on doing the sessions at Magic Live, and I was lecturing on my bending wine glass trick, and he was, I think he was hosting it or something, hosting the sessions, and I got to spend a lot of time with him. He's also a really good friend of Chris Angels, who we mentioned before, and he helped Chris with his Dove Act. And also, there's a bit in Chris's show that's incredible where they do like an immersive video game sequence where he has this duel with somebody. And when he's having the duel, he then becomes that character. And Lance Burton very graciously gave Chris that routine from his own working repertoire. And they're great friends. And I've met Lance not only when he came over to Blackpool, but I've met him at Chris's show and spent a lot of time with him. And do you know what? What's amazing about Lance? He loves magic still. And you'd think somebody that's been in Vegas for like 10 years would be a little bit jaded by it.
Mm.
He doesn't need any money, but he's still out on the road with his pals doing a tour. And he doesn't need a penny. He's got more money than, he did 100. He was the first, I think, $100 million contract in Vegas. He did that for 10 years at the Monte Carlo in on the Vegas Strip. So he's made all this money, but yet he still loves magic. He's still on the road with his pals. And I just spent ages talking to him about how he does like the production of a spectator's drink while they're holding it. And he has this lovely subtlety where he says, "Can I take this, please?" And he takes the coin from behind the spectator's ear at the same time as making their own drink appear. And it's very, very clever. And we spent like about an hour or so talking about the psychology behind this one move. And it's like we spoke about Tommy Wonder earlier when I had the lesson with him. You know, the people that really succeed in magic are the ones that genuinely love it. They're not in it for the money. They're not in it for the gigs. They're in it because they absolutely love magic. And Lance Burton, he'll be really pleased that you said that that's one of his favourite pieces of magic. But I'm not surprised because it just epitomizes perfection. It's just unbelievable. There's a reason he won FISM, right? The World
Mm.
Championships. That act won FISM. It is perfection, every single bit of it.
Is
And it was the greatest royal variety show ever. Now, we have a royal variety show ever, and sometimes you have magicians on. One year, they had Lance Burton, and then you had Wayne Dobson doing his vent sequence with Frank Bruno and Harry Carpenter, all in the same show. God, if that year wasn't the best year for magic on the Royal Variety Show, I don't know what was, because that year was just unbelievable.
I mean, talking about names there, Wayne Dobson is another incredible performer
Yeah,
and someone who I also have a lot of time for in terms of his magic is sort of like I love the style that sort of like the comedy
yeah,
style magic, you know, like one my biggest hero is Tommy Cooper and then Paul Daniels. Them two for me, God bless them both, you know, big inspirations in my life. More so Tommy Cooper growing up, my mum and dad were always watching that, and my dad
yeah,
thinks he's got a sense of humor and he always used to watch it, and it just rubbed off on me. But the Paul Daniels, it was having the Paul Daniels magic set, but when I had discovered Wayne Dobson, totally different ball game. Like
yeah,
he's one-liners, he's patter, he's incredible, isn't he? Like
yeah.
how good is
Unbelievable.
he?
Oh, it's the best. Unbelievable. When I used to, at that very impressionable age as a magician, like, I don't mind saying it's a bit embarrassing now, but I kind of turned myself, when I was about 13, 14, I turned myself into a Wayne Dobson clone. I was dressing the same. In fact, I've got a picture which Wayne Dobson's seen where me and him went. I went to a convention and asked for a picture, and I'm stood at the side of him, and I'm dressed in exactly the same clothes. Like I'm like a Wayne Dobson clone. It's quite embarrassing looking back, but that's how much I idolized him. And those those shows where he used to do the spots on the Joe Longthorne show, where he'd get two spots, and one of them was like an illusion or sketch spot, and the other one was close-up magic with guests from the audience. They were absolutely transformative in my career of what magic could be. And then another influence was Ken Hawes, who was my magic mentor at the local magic club. And he was a past winner of the Magic Circle Close Up Magician of the Year. He knew what real close up magic was. So he gave me a lot of guidance. And then seeing people like Wayne Dobson on TV, that kind of shaped what I wanted to be earlier on in my career and how I wanted the close up magic to be, especially for my spectators.
100%. I mean, in terms of in with the magic community, I was quite late with it. I mean, I when I first discovered magic, I was about 6 years old. But then when I started going to like the conventions and lectures, I was about 18. And one of the first lectures I ever went to was in Portsmouth. And funny enough, Wayne Dobson was there. And the lecture I went to was David Stone,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I had a pen and paper, and I didn't even end up writing anything down because I was just gobsmacked at how, because I mean, being a magician, we think, yeah, we're at a good standard. I'm happy with where I am. We're always learning because that's one thing you always need to keep your tools sharpened and keep up in the game. But when I saw this guy, I was like, he's doing things that I can, it's frying my brain even thinking about it. There's a routine on YouTube, and it's all about misdirection, and it's one of the, it's so clean and it's just perfection. And as a magician, you watch that and you think, Jesus, that is hours, years, decades of, it's just incredible. And what a performer! What a performer! I think it was after, because this is a long time ago. I think Tool was out, and then he did this. I think it was called
Yeah.
Cell Phone or something.
Yeah. The
And
cards phone.
then
Yeah.
that's it. And then there was like a hologram one, but everything was flawless, absolutely incredible. And I remember I bought a few things, and then after seeing him, I dug deep and watched a couple of his live performances, and that's another magician who very, very funny and just so
Yeah.
talented.
He's brilliant. And he's got his character that he does. I don't remember the name of the character, but he's had a lot of success with the sort of Got Talent shows worldwide with the white sock on the head and the glasses and that. And a lot of people didn't know it was David Stone for a long time, but I think he's done BGT this year as well, actually. So you might see him on BGT.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, that'd be brilliant. Honestly, because it's
I'm not sure I should say that, but I've
listen,
already said it now. It's too late.
all right, like,
There's audience members there, so they
oh
can't
yeah,
control
someone
who says.
exactly that, exactly that. I you've done Britain's Got Talent a
Yeah.
while ago, didn't you? You were
Uh,
there.
Amanda Holden said I broke the curse of magic on Britain's Got Talent because I was the first magician or illusionist to ever have any success on the show. So nobody was ever successful. In fact, magic was kind of ridiculed on the program quite a bit. And we were the first ones. Like, I went on there and just thought, right, I'm going to show you. And I literally went on there with the intention to smash it, and we did. And it was like just the fastest, quickest illusion we could do to just knock their socks off. And that's what we did. And we got 2 standing ovations. And yeah, it was great.
How long ago was that, David?
So was it was about 12 or 13 years ago now.
Was the trick? Was it like an escapology one in a water tank? Was
Yeah,
underneath? Am I right in saying?
that was the live semi-finals.
Right, I remember that.
So yeah, which is a pretty gutsy trick to do on live television.
Mm.
Absolutely live. And in those days there were 13 million people watching live. It's a bit different now because obviously there's, so many more choices for people. But in those days there were only 4, possibly 5 channels. Yeah, there was a lot limited choice. So in those days, when you were on a show like Got Talent, like, it was incredible. The next day, like, I was just getting recognised everywhere. It was incredible, and that lasted for quite some time, quite about a year actually. People still recognising me from the show, but the exposure of being on there and being a magic act and doing so well worked really well in my favour at that point and allowed me to go on and do all sorts of other bookings. But I'd already been on television. I'd already been on 2 seasons of Freaky on Channel 4,
Yes.
Astounding Celebrities on ITV, and then I was the resident street magician on 2 seasons of The Sorcerer's Apprentice with Max Somerset as the Sorcerer.
I remember that now. Yes, yes, I do remember that.
So
Ah,
I'd already done lots of TV magic. I'd already had over 100 TV appearances. But I think BGT were particularly looking for an illusionist that year. And there were very few people in the country that had the level of kit that I'd got, sort of over £100,000 worth of equipment. And they basically looked through my whole repertoire and said, right, we'll have you do that one. So yeah, we went on and we did it. They redubbed the music because I was using Darude's Sandstorm, which is just like, if you know the track, it just builds and builds and builds and builds and then goes at the end, and that's it's like 1.5 minutes of build, and it's just getting more and more epic, and then all of a sudden you kind of pull the cloth off and you've changed places, and it happened on the beat of the music. And they redubbed it to Michael Bublé, so it suddenly went really slow. Dun da 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 dun da 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 dun. And when I watched it, when it came on, and we're all having this like watch party, like with all my friends down the pub, and it came on the music, I was like, "What the hell's happened here?" But they were like, "Oh, it's brilliant, it's brilliant." But in my head, I was still a bit disappointed they didn't use Sandstorm because that's such a better music choice for me.
brilliant, brilliant. What I want to know is what's the next 12 months hold for you, mate? I know you're off the, every time you do a little story, it's you're on a plane, you're on a plane. I think you've had more flights than me, to be honest.
Well, I enjoy creating magic. I enjoy performing magic, and I won't say lucky, but I'm in a very privileged position that I've been at this for over 30 years now, and I've got a lot of regular clients that organise a lot of events. I'm doing an event on Saturday night, and it's for Samuel Leeds for example, and he's a property guru. He's got an amazing story, and he's a very inspirational guy that's gone from like literally nothing to multi millionaire with property. And he holds lots of events all around the countries. And you know, I'm very privileged that I've got lots of clients like Samuel and his company that book me multiple times throughout the years and trust me to do a great job. So I'm very busy with regular clients, people that I've built up over the years that use me for literally all their events. So that's what keeps me busy. I don't actually put everything that I do on social media. Sometimes I only put things on if I find something funny at the actual gig. I think people would be a bit bored if they saw me at every wedding that I do. I'm not really playing the social media game. That's not where I get my work from. It's not where I get inquiries from. Like I said, it's people that are looking for a magician with a certain level of CV, for example, or a certain level of experience. They're the people that tend to come my way. I certainly don't sell myself on price. I'm one of the most expensive close-up magicians out there. But top agents, if they have a discerning client and that client says, look, you know, I've got, you know, such and such coming along to this, you know, I've got royalty coming along, I've got Prince of such and such coming along, and they don't want to take a risk. A high-end agent would sometimes give me a call and use me. So they're the sort of engagements that I'm doing, which is great. I do regular weddings, regular private performances. But the next 12 months, it's the same 12-month plan that I've had for my entire career. Just keep getting away with it. Keep doing your hobby as your job. And it just gets better and better. Like this year has been my best year to date. The fact that I've been able to create so much magic, the fact that I've had the opportunity to go out to China and meet with everybody that uh, you know, helps me manufacture my products, the team at TCC, work closely with them, come over and then see 2 years' work come to fruition and launch those products at Blackpool. It's just been amazing. And it's just like, yeah, the next 12 months, if I can just keep getting away with it and keep doing my hobby as a job, that's all I want to be able to do.
Well, I wish you all the best, and thank you very much for joining me this
You want
evening.
to see
As I said, I
some
could have.
magic now?
Of course we do. Let's see something.
Let me
I
see
knew
if
you'd
I.
have something. I knew you'd have.
Well, you've got to be prepared, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Let me see if I can angle this down slightly. So you mentioned mobile phone magic earlier. This is my mobile phone. And I've got here a red card. Look at that. That is member of the Magic Circle, in a magic circle with gold star. But I don't know how well this will come across on camera, but it actually looks like it's going through the phone, right? It actually looks like it's passing straight through the center of the phone. Now, I know what the viewers are probably thinking. They're probably thinking there can't be a phone in there. And they'd be right, because it's not a phone. It's actually something better. It's actually a solid block of metal. It's actually a solid block of metal. There's no holes, no splits. It's solid metal. And there's no way that can
I
happen.
love that. That is brilliant. I love that. You ain't going to get a takeaway on that phone, though, are you? That is
Deliveroo.
brilliant. That is brilliant, David. Honestly, I'm so glad you shared that with me, because that is a fantastic trick. I think I messaged you saying something. I think I saw a video of that, but I'm so glad I've experienced that now, because I enjoyed that.
It's
I really
a
did.
great piece of magic. It really is. And if you were here, you could actually examine this block of metal as well. It's an amazing piece of magic. It really is.
That is perfect.
It's like a metal phone, I guess.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Thank you. I'm glad you shared that. I really am.
Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem. Thank you for being on. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a bit like educational as well, because you mentioning some names who I wasn't so familiar with, and then giving me a lot of advice, and I've learned a lot tonight. So
I have
thank you
got
very
one.
much for joining me.
I have got one question before I go, if that's okay. A question for you.
Okay, sure.
Who the is the magic mod?
I know, right? I mean, to be honest, my mum asks me all the time, right? I mean, right, going back to that is a quick story before I leave you. We were at the Albion Rooms, obviously run by the Libertines. Cole Barrett, who's in the band, his missus was there. She wanted to come and watch me, right? And she goes, we were talking. I was saying, oh, it's so embarrassing. I was looking down when I was on tour with the Brian Jonestown Massacre. I looked down. We played 3 nights in Brighton, and my mum was right in front all the time, every night. I was like, so embarrassing. And she said, oh, well, I mean, my mum often wears my own band t-shirts. And my mum went, hang on. And she took her jacket off and she had, who the fuck's the Magic Mod on t-shirt? And I was like, oh my God, like, seriously.
Do you know what?
But
I'll tell you something. Chris Angel's mum, she's always there. She's always in his audience.
Brilliant.
Whenever she's there, she's always there.
Brilliant.
And that's somebody that remortgaged her house to get him his first Broadway show.
That's love, though. I mean, I think if you haven't got that sort of love and support behind you, no matter what you want to do, and I often say this, I say it doesn't matter if you want to be a landscaper, if you want to work in B&Q, whatever you want to do in your life, no matter what it is, if you haven't got the support and the love behind you, then I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I've been so lucky with the love and support from my mum and dad, because when I said to them I want to be a magician, it's very easy for them to say, don't waste your time, get your head looked at, and there is a football, go and kick it against the wall. It's but they believed in me, and hopefully one day I'll keep plodding on the door and I'll be able to sort of reward them with the support, and that's the long term. That's sort of my inspiration as well, along with that teacher who said I couldn't do it. It's my mum and dad are my inspiration, and to look at the great magicians, I mean, such as yourself, such as for me, your Paul Daniels, Harry Laurent, a magician who I absolutely love reading his books. I want to be one day. I want someone to be doing a podcast and say, oh, do you know the Magic Mod? He was quite good. He inspired me to lift up a kid's magic set or something like that. And that's another thing. It's amazing when you inspire people.
Yeah.
So,
well,
thank you.
It's about you inspire me with your success. You're turning your dream into reality, and you are literally doing shows like a rock star. It's amazing. And I hope to see you down in person at the Magic Circle again sometime.
100%, 100%. I will definitely be there. And when I am, I will give you a message and we'll meet up for a coffee. So
worries,
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you for your time. Have a lovely rest of the evening. Have a good one and enjoy the weekend when it comes around.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's a magic mod, a man of illusion, a magic god, the one the mod. I'm the magic mod, with a sleight of hand, a magic god. See my hands vibrate in the sand, everything's work, a silver man, will flick of the wrist and it's gone.